confused? Well, you should be. Or not. I guess it depends on what you know about the BitQuest and what sort of sounds it normally produces, and more importantly for this video, what you know about the F13 Spinchip. To some people, I will probably just be preaching to the choir. If not, let's see what this chip allows us to do. Just as a disclaimer though, I don't claim to know much about this topic, I simply wanted to share what I found while experimenting and messing around. So if I say things that don't make sense or are just plain wrong, you've been warned and you should feel free to tell me what I've missed or goofed out on in the comment section below. Anyways, so this is the F13 Spinchip. A lot of pedal manufacturers use this chip in their digital pedals, especially reverb, delay and modulation pedals. Companies like Old Blood Noise, Alexander Pedals, Red Panda, MASF, Keeley, Mr. Black, Earthquaker Devices, Calimbred, etc. Compared to the overly complex DSP chip found in pedals from bigger companies like Strymon, Eventide and Source Audio, the F13 is specifically designed for audio use and is 100% open source. Now, what is interesting about pedals using this chip is that they will also have a memory chip, such as the 24AA32A or the 24LC32A, mounted somewhere on the PCB. Spoiler alert, this is where you find the pedal's algorithms. This should come as no surprise to anyone who follows my channel, but the Dr. Scientist BitQuest is one of my all-time favorite pedals. It just so happens that the BitQuest is a dual spin chip pedal. One chip is for the clean side, the other one for the dirty side. Having the BitQuest at the end of my chains means that I don't use the dirty side of the pedal that much, already having 5 or so dirt pedals leading up to it. So one night I thought I'd try to swap the memory chip containing the dirty algorithms on the BitQuest for something else. And to my surprise, it just worked, giving me more usable sounds within the same enclosure, which means more room on my pedal board. In this video I will remove the memory chip from an Alexander Pedals F13 flanger and an Old Blood Noise Darkstar reverb and put them into the BitQuest. As you can tell, the memory chips in the F13 and Darkstar are simply socketed, making them fairly easy to remove, but be warned, the pins on the chips can bend and break easily. Do this at your own risk. In other pedals like the MASF, Rapcho and the Red Panda Contacts, the memory chips are soldered onto the PCB. While it is possible to reheat the solder and get the chip out, you run the risk of damaging the chip or other components in the process. Even trying to put the chip back onto the PCB can prove to be way more difficult than simply unmounting a chip from its socket. The reason I picked these two pedals to show you guys is that the F13 chip is limited to 3 digital controls. On the F13, these controls are rate, depth and regeneration, meaning that the mix control is analog. Same thing on the Darkstar, control 1, 2 and reverb are digital and connected to the F13 chip, while the mix is analog. So what is the benefit of putting one of these chips into your BitQuest? Well, first and foremost, you will have access to an entirely different pedal by the flick of a toggle. Secondly, the BitQuest has a tone knob, giving you more control of the sound produced. And lastly, it has a volume knob, eradicating any problems you might have with volume drop. On the downside, there's no hold switch for the Darkstar anymore. Secondly, Old Blood Noise and the smaller enclosure Alexander pedals only use 3 of the 8 slots that the memory chip have available for actual algorithms. And while I'm not going to go into the politics of that, I will point out that you will naturally have fewer sounds to play around with when compared to the 8 algorithms found on the BitQuest chip. Some things to consider if you want to do something similar. Some spin chip based pedals, such as the Red Panda Particle, has a feedback loop located outside of the F13 part of the circuit. This means that you couldn't control the feedback of the particle chip if you were to place it inside of a BitQuest. On the plus side, placing another chip into the particle might reward you with some interesting results. Another thing to consider, there's a whole lot more going on inside of these pedals than just 2 chips. Resistors, transistors, capacitors, different buffers, etc. So, while you will have access to the algorithms, you will not necessarily get the exact same sound. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Let's have a listen to the F13 and the Darkstar inside of the BitQuest. Later.